Hi, and welcome back to Ebonroot. Today, we're going to be working over here in the left bottom corner of the island, and I've made these lily pads over here, and this is Tad's house, and Frobert, and finally Henry's house. These are the three houses that I'm going to be working on. I made these lily pads for their houses to sit on, and I was really inspired by another creator. Her name is Melissa, who had made lily pads. And so I took her idea with some lily pads and made them work over here. So I have this small area with a bunch of lily pads for these three frogs. So we're going to start over here on this empty lily pad. We're going to make like a little spa area for the frogs. First thing, gotta put some code down. It is a little tough working on these lily pads just because my lily pads were kind of small. I didn't have a ton of room over here, and I needed it to fit the houses, and so it made it a little tougher, and I wasn't able to do as much decorating as I had hoped, as far as making little areas for them, but it was natural, very pretty. And fitting in this little hot tub type thing over here was actually very difficult on this tiny lily pad. But getting the codes down, figuring out exactly where I'm going to be putting this little hot tub. And I pretty much went with up here. It's just a matter of exactly where up there. Then I was like, well, the next thing I need to do is figure out where I'm putting trees. So I went around and was digging holes so I could use them as holding places for where there was going to be a tree. And I knew I wanted some fence back here. And I tried the bamboo fence, but I didn't actually care for it. So I went back to this galvanized steel fence that I had used over in the entrance build. And got my hole back in for my tree that I know I'm putting back there. And now it's, how do I fit this in here? We can still get by. And it ends up being, we're going to have to scoot to be able to get by on the bottom side, because it will not fit up here any other way. So fixing up the code to make it work. And this is my first two trees going in here. It's just a stunted bamboo back here. So these are bamboo trees. I had not grown enough. So these are going to time travel, but we're going to have to wait for them to grow in. I will time travel at the end before we do the walkthrough, so we can see it with the full-size trees. So I got my lanterns in. I know I want a lantern up here too. And put this hot tub, bathtub thing back in. Just to be able to... Not my favorite choice to be able to... Not my favorite choice to be able to... What it is, and we work with the space provided. It is what it is, and we work with the space provided. I'd hoped to put a regular tree back there, but they're just, too close to the water. So we put the Scheffernelda, or whatever you call that plant, back there. And I was hoping I'd give that vibe of a tree without that close to the water, because rules are, can't put a tree that close to the water. I wanted to show that you could hop back and forth, so I wanted to connect with the path up there. And here we're just connecting with a little path from the end of the boardwalk down to the boardwalk, a little tiny transition area from the boardwalk down to the beach. So we're going to get our mossy path in. And this too is just a small area, so we're just putting a bush. Well, first I put a bush in here, and then I realized that was the only place I could put a tree. So I moved the bush over, and we put a tree there. And a couple of flowers, a rock, and really there's not much room left. The only thing left really to do here is a couple of codes and some wheat field. Like I say, it's a pretty small area. Getting the wheat fields down how I wanted them, that was a little bit of a trick, but it always is, isn't it? So, boom, small area done. So now I came over here on this lily pad and was hoping to put down some wheat fields here, kind of fill it in a little bit. It's so hard right now to picture it because I don't have the trees full in the back. And of course, because it's so tight, I picked up my pool, my tub, and kicked off code and had so much trouble. Tight areas are always difficult that way. So here we've got this done. Gonna move to some of these hopping spots and just quickly get a little bit of code, a little bit of weeds, get a little bit of flowers on there. And then a small area here right close to the beach, and Lily was in the way, so we had to seating area. And of course Lily was in the way, so we had to kind of scoot her off. And I laid some stone. And of course accidentally went where I didn't want it to go. This is the bench I'm going to put here, this little bamboo bench. This whole area I wanted to be really pretty green, so I stuck with the green bamboo on everything I used over here like that. It is a froggy area, and they're all cute little boy frogs. It was telling me, can't put a bush here. And I was like, I sure the heck can. Then I proved myself right. I can't put a bush there. I thought it's so rare you can use these little bamboo trees. And I thought this was a perfect place in this really thin little area on the left that there just wasn't a lot of room for putting in any kind of full-size trees. That's going to be a little stunted bamboo tree, but yeah, I was trying to figure out ways to fill in this area and give it a little bit of height, but because it's so narrow, it was a little bit of a challenge. But those bamboo trees with the little fabric pieces on it worked really well for that. The hole here is that's where I'm going to stunt that bamboo later. It has to grow a little bit. I tried to put down the little round code just to denote that these are places you can hop across. And here you can see I was going around and trying to put a few down because I wanted to make it really clear that you can hop between these islands. There's not going to be any bridges over here. Nothing's wide enough really for a bridge. And there's certainly not enough room for a bridge. And at this point, this is me trying to figure out how I can get 2 trees in this small area. And as you see here, I discovered there's only 2 places I can put 2 trees. And of course, my flower went in where I wanted to put a tree. So get my bushes down, a couple of flowers. And want you to be able to hop, but I also want some decorations over here. And I want you to be able to hop, but I also want some decorations over here. And so it was a little bit of a puzzle. And you can see me testing it. Yep, you can still hop here. Okay, it's good. So a couple coats later, and that really skinny area is pretty much done, except for waiting for that bamboo tree to grow. Got a little puddle at the end of that. I don't even know what you call that bamboo thing, but it's got water, so we have a little puddle at the end. Some trees. So at this point, we got to get some trees. So as you can see here, it came up. This is where I have my stunted trees that I've grown. And I was trying to decide which one I was going to use down here on this small island area. And because it's a small area, I didn't want them to be very big trees. Plus, I didn't want them to cover up the house behind here. So I put the one tree and then the shorter tree in front and stunted both of them so they stay this small size, because we do not want them to get any bigger and start hiding the house or anything that's over here on this side. And we've got this whole edge done. So next we're going to move on to these two small hopping pads between the islands. We'll coats down a couple. And it's really just a matter of putting a couple coats down, a couple of flowers, water puddles, checking how it looks, and then coming back here and work. I wanted him to have on Tad's house. I wanted him to have a little music back here, and I decided he was going to go with disco. Music back here. And I knew right here I wanted to be able to get trees grown anymore, so I have any bamboo trees grown anymore, so we're gonna have to wait for that one to grow in too. So now I just want to make a little path from his house over to the hopping spot, and the little bamboo deer scare was in the way, so I have to pick it back up. But put it back down as soon as I get the code down. We know that it's very important to me to make sure we know that we can hop here to get off of this island. So it was telling me I couldn't. Once again, it was telling me I couldn't put the bush there, but I didn't want it there because where it had to go, it was going to be kind of blocking the little hop spot. So we just put a flower there so it'd still be able to get across. Fill in with this code for the path to get to his house. I thought the lamp could go right there by his bed, but I kind of decided right there at the front was better. And of course, when you go to pick up, especially Wheatfield, you got to kick off any code that's right there. And I wanted to stagger them like this, but I decided I wanted to stagger it so that they kind of went the same diagonal as the path was going. So from the bottom going up to the left. So I put them back down that way. I had this tiny spot here, and my first thought was I would put a flower here, but then I could not put a vine on it, and I did not want to. I wanted to be able to put a vine there. So I decided instead of putting a flower there, what I would do is just put a code. So I can put a vine on there later. Because I wanted that cliff to kind of get covered a little bit. So coming down here to Tad's house, we finished up Henry's. We want to make a little bit of a path going down from his house to this little popping spot. So he's got his little walkway going to his house. Got a couple bushes to frame it. And really right here, I wanted to put a tree in. No, it's too close to the house. Just super irritating because I really wanted a tree there. So we settled for over here. We'll put it on. This is where I'm going to put another tree. And this is where I'm going to put another tree. So I wanted to make sure you could get all the way around it. I thought, well, maybe if I put it over one more. No, too close to the house. It has to go right here. Over, which I did not like, but once you hop over, which I did not like, but needs must. So we've got our 2 trees that we're going to be able to get in this on this little lily pad. And we want to get the lamp in. And really, this side of the house, we've got to decorate it, but we still have to be able to get over here and hop. And I put the little round code to show that this is a place where you can hop at. And filling this in, and like I say again, I put this potted tree here just to give it a little height because I can't get a full-size regular tree here. So a few flowers, a code, a potted tree. Puddle codes. And we are getting to the point where what we need is just some more wheat fields to kind of fill it in and kind of make it not quite so plain. It was very difficult making lily pads because of the size of these lily pads. It was very difficult making them look decorated without being crowded, but also full. And this is when I discovered I only had that color of wheat field. So I put this vine back here to kind of give a little bit more height to this lily pad. This is my biggest lily pad over here. For the most part, they're relatively small or they're partial. And of course this one was being pretty difficult for me, this wheat field, because I wanted it to go half on the jumping spot and half on the empty space. And boy, it just, look at it. It did not want to go in. There it went. Finally, and got in my last one. So there's his house, and I'm ready for the final froggy house in this small area. I was trying to plan out where I could put trees here, and I quickly realized that there just wasn't anywhere that I could put a tree. Not enough room. This lily pad, there just was not enough room. So I popped in the hopping spot codes and started putting in the small landing for her house, the little path. So that at this point I decided I was going to just connect this so that our house across to this small island with their tub. Really, at this point, I was having a little trouble trying to figure out exactly how to decorate the 2 sides because this island is particularly small, or this lily pad. So I was going along, putting in all the vines I wanted to kind of fill out the backdrop, the cliffs, kind of the brown of the cliff sides. The brown of the cliff sides. And right-hand side. And right-hand side. And right-hand side. And right-hand side. And I do end up pulling that out. Just popping in a few more flowers. And I decided to put this lamp up here instead of the planter. And the planter's still going to be here. It'll be next to it. But I did want this bamboo lamp here, because I really wanted a little bamboo lamp in front of everybody's house, kind of like a little yard lamp for each house, right in front of their house. And of course, it was insisting I could not put my lantern, my tall lantern there. So I was like, it does too fit. And I proved it to the stupid game. There it goes. See, it does fit. They just made me do it the hard way. A little bit of landscaping, but I got it in. So all that's left is this right-hand side. Figuring it out, I realized to put something back here, I wasn't going to be able to have that one vine. Got to get my eggplant cows and the cucumbers on top of all of my pillars, because the people who built these pillars loved and worshipped the cows and the cucumbers. And then a little bit of storage that he's got over here on the side of his house. Nothing too fancy. And I really liked this little basket. I really wanted this basket over here. So the only thing left is to put a couple of wheat fields. There's not a lot of room here. So just a couple of wheat fields to simulate reeds in this lily pad area. And we are done. This is a couple of days later because I let the trees grow in. And as we walk around, we can see how everything looks now with the fully grown trees and how we're going to be able to get around these areas. This little transition onto the beach here. And I really loved how cute this little sitting area is. And hopping over to each of the islands or lily pads and getting to see how these areas, even though they're tight, how you can hop around and get to each villager's house. Start. And there you go. Back at the start. That's all these lily pads. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Bye.